thanks, Gregor. Morning, Josh. Was speaking with someone this week about how the Leafs have that ability to spread things out in the offensive zone. What is that? What kind of challenges does that provide for a team when it comes to defending?
Yeah, I think when you play a team that has skilled forwards and they have the ability to play with possession in the offensive zone and sort of spread you out, get some motion going. Obviously, that can create some switch offs, maybe create some seams. But I think, at the end of the day, they're really strong at getting pucks, making little plays around the net, little passes into the slot, and they're willing to go there, even though they have, you don't always see that with skilled guys, but they go to the net and they make those little plays as well as any team that we've played this year, that's for sure. So that's the challenge that is presented to us. And I think for us, it's about, communicating in the D zone, protecting the slot and being confident to defend as well. And obviously you have to respect the skill that the players on their team have. That's for sure. But, you can't sort of just be sitting around the D zone watching. You have to still be aggressive and, try to defend the way that our team does.
We'll go next to Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Josh, you played the same team 3 consecutive times, a few times now. And I'm just kind of curious if there's anything unique about that third game after playing the team twice before.
I think you certainly know your opponent a little bit better. I think there's little adjustments in the games on the special teams, some small things, 5-on-5. And also, you want to sort of you want to win the series. It seems to present itself that way. If you split the first two, you kind of leave that 3-game set feeling a lot better about, yourself in the last 3 games if you're able to come out and get that win in sort of the rubber match. So it's definitely, I'm sure, both teams' goal to win that game and come out, I guess, on the right side of the 3-game set.
We'll go next to Mark Masters from TSN. Go ahead, Mark.
Josh, how much does the dynamic change defending that Leafs top line when they have Zach Hyman there instead of Joe Thornton?
I think obviously, 2 different hands. One's left-handed, one's right-handed. So maybe there's a bit of a change in there's a one-timer potentially in certain spots when there isn't in others, or vice versa. But both players, are really good down low. Obviously, Joe Thornton has done that for a long time and made an amazing career and produced a lot of assists from sort of below the goal line and in that area of the ice. And I think Hyman does that pretty well also. They're both often the guy that seems to be down low and, makes those plays. So I don't know if you change much, to be honest, depending on the 2 guys, but I think they complement those, Matthews and Marner really well. Both of those guys do. And either way, it presents a big challenge.
Next to Scott Billick from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Josh. I'm wondering, as a veteran defenseman now, when it comes to Logan Stanley, given his size, given the differences, the different way that he would play the game in terms of using that size, how, as a defenseman, do you impart wisdom, knowledge with him? Do you take a different approach? Is it difficult based on, the size that he has and that sort of thing? Or is it just kind of hockey at the end of the day?
I think it's just hockey, really. There's things, obviously, first of all, he's he wants to learn, he wants to work on his game, every day after practice. He's putting the time in to try to work on just anything he can. And obviously, the same experience I had, you go up to the next level and your game becomes defined a little bit more. I feel like the the players around you are usually in the right spot in most situations. So, you start to realize some small things within the game that, maybe it's a skill of a pass out of the corner or a defensive play that happens a few times once you've played enough games. And so you can kind of start to work on those things. And that's the same thing for me. I'm into my career now, and every sort of so often, every number of games, you feel you can find those little things you can work on. So, but a lot of it's the same. I know there's the size difference, but maybe he can do things a little bit differently. There's obviously some advantages to being as big as he is that, I'm envious of. And, we've talked back and forth, and obviously as a smaller guy, there's some things that I can do sort of differently that he can, that it's just different, right? So maybe I can spin off players a little bit more, and he can sort of power through. It's both effective. It's just different. So, working on those little things, but yeah, he's a great kid, and just wants to keep getting better. And he is every game that he plays. So really happy for him to see that.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hey, good morning, Josh. I know earlier in the season you also had a couple of games back to back where you were above 25 minutes, but that wasn't at the part of the schedule now that is as busy or seemingly intense. So from that perspective, are you feeling still pretty fresh and feeling like you can maintain that little heavier workload if it does continue on into the month of March and possibly April?
Yeah, to be honest, I feel great. I worked really hard in the pandemic pause the first time, and in the off season, sort of as a plan of getting ready for this season and going to another level physically. And like I said, I feel physically great on ice, conditioning wise. So I feel like I can handle those minutes. I think the biggest thing, to your point, is just the schedule. The one nice thing that I've referenced a couple times this year is that, for example, these last 3 games are all in one city. And looking forward, obviously we have the back-to-back next week with the travel. But then I think we're in Vancouver for a couple, and then in Calgary again for 3 and some extended time. So, and Edmonton at the start of that trip. So you can kind of settle into your room. I mean, it's easier to bring the different recovery devices that I use to try to get my body ready to go, and just the air travel that isn't there as often plays a big part in that too. So yeah, I think it's about managing your time away from the rink and your days off. Sort of as soon as the one game ends, the clock starts on preparing for a game a couple nights later, and I feel like I've had enough experience now where maybe I feel like I've skated too much in the past in between games when we've been in a heavy schedule, and other times where I didn't, and then I felt like I needed a little bit more puck touches and stuff like that. So I think having some experience in that and finding that right balance is helping me. And obviously it's going to get busy, so just have to continue to focus on doing those things away from the rink to prepare and recover.
Go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Greg. Hi, Josh. Earlier you mentioned kind of like those skilled little plays and short passes that Toronto can make into the middle. Can you put some of that skill into context for us non-pro athletes about kind of the seams or angles or body positions or what it is that a really skilled player can do to exploit that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, obviously. I would say the difference would be probably the speed that they can do it at, and the quickness in terms of finding the read. I mean, if you pause the TV, I guess, at any given point, a lot of times you can see an open player, and obviously from the TV or an overhead view of the ice, it's amazing how open somebody looks, but then you're on the ice and it's hard to see that guy. So I think that the best guys, and they have some guys that are very elite at it, they find that player when he's open, and then they have the skill to take the puck out of the corner, maybe tight turn against you, and again have a little shoulder check or a little peek or something, and see that player's open. It's on the tape, through a triangle or something like that, and then again the player that's shooting the puck has a lot of skill to get it off in a hurry or make the next play. So I think it's just that's probably what separates, in my opinion, those best offensive players. Obviously they have the skill, they have the ability, but they just see those plays that maybe other guys don't, and then they can execute them and do it over and over again, and in a hurry before you can recover.
And final question to Scott Billick from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Scott.
Thanks, Gregor. Just going back to Logan, Josh, and you talked a little bit about it. Can you just kind of describe what he does well as a player? I mean, he hasn't played now. Well, he played one game, but it was off for a while. But what does he do in those 13-game block and in the last game? What does he do well as a defenseman?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, coming back after to play after that amount of time off, I mean, it's not easy. So I thought he played awesome. But I think what he does really well, and what I think he's getting better at every single game, is, he's obviously a very big guy. He uses his size well. I think his body position defensively is again, as he gets more used to the guys he's playing against, starts to get a little bit of knowledge on each guy he's defending, what they like to do. That's a big body to try to get around. You can't outmuscle him. So I think his angles defensively have been really good. I think his body position, obviously his stick as well, with the reach like he has, he can use that. And then, I think one thing that he's always had since I first saw him on the ice, but you don't see that often with guys his size, is the ability to sort of handle a loose puck and make a small little play. I mean, a little play to the center, a little play to the winger. He's got good hands and he makes a good first pass. And when you kind of put all those things together, that's a pretty good combination. So I think those are some of his strengths. And like I said before, he's just going to continue to get better at all those things as he gets more comfortable, plays more games. And those would be the things that I think are his strengths.